Hey guys, welcome back to True Crime ASMR, Sunny Side Up. And today we're talking about another missing persons case. There's a missing child, but now she is 30, so we're talking about 9-year-old Asha Degree. And she went missing on Valentine's Day of 2000, so that's 22 years ago. Coming up on 22 years ago. And she's from Shelby, North Carolina. And the reason this case is so haunting to me is because she, unlike some missing children, where you automatically think the parents had something to do with it, there's evidence like, her parents didn't have anything to do with it. And unlike some missing children where someone kidnapped her in an obvious way, we don't have that here either, because she left her home willingly. And so what happened was, for unknown reasons, sometime after 2:30 in the morning, and we know it was 2:30 in the morning because her dad checked on her and her brother at 2:30 in the morning. So sometime after 2:30 in the morning, Asha Degree, 9 years old, packed her book bag and left her family home. And she went walking on Highway 18. So after 2:30 in the morning, it's probably pretty dark. Plus, they said there was rain and a storm brewing. So it's most likely she wasn't ready for the weather, because children don't really know how to dress for the weather usually. That's usually what they need the parents for. So you might think, well, how do we know that she was actually left willingly? Well, there's several witnesses who were driving by and saw her walking down Highway 18. So it was called in, I believe it was called in 911 by several people. Now, unfortunately, one man turned around and he began to approach her, so she ran off into a wooded area. Now, I can't say I blame her for that, because as kids, you're taught to, stranger danger. So here's this grown man wanting to talk to her, so I don't blame her for running off. I think the right thing to do would have been to just keep an eye on her from a distance and wait for the police. So apparently they had an extensive search after her parents realized too that she wasn't in bed. That morning they called 911. And there was a place where some of her personal items were found. It was on the next day, February 15th, there was a shed at a nearby business along the highway where she ran in the wooded area. And somebody found candy wrappers In that shed, they also found a pencil, a marker, a Mickey Mouse shaped hair bow that were identified as belonging to Asha. They also found a photograph of a black girl who was around 9, and they have yet to identify who the little girl is in the photograph. And to me, that's like the first clue. But I'm going to tell you guys the story, and then at the end, I'll tell you my theories. So, they still haven't identified the little girl in the photo. So I'm hoping that means they've checked the school and asked all of Asha's friends and relatives if they know who the little girl is. So more on that later. So the mother realized that some of Asha's favorite clothes were missing. And police continued to search for a week. They put flyers all over the place. And they had 300 leads. But they never had a good, substantial lead. They say, she's not your typical runaway because she's only 9. And she didn't have any issues at home. Her life was happy, she didn't have a reason to run away. So there hasn't been any leads until 2001. Asha's book bag that she took with her that day were found in a construction project off of Highway 18. And what's weird to me is the book bag was found wrapped in a plastic bag. The worker who found it said that Asha's name and phone number are on it, so that's why he thought, everybody in the area knew about Asha. So he sent it to the police. And inside the book bag, they found a book called McElligot's Pool by Dr. Seuss and a t-shirt with the band New Kids on the Block. And they said that the t-shirt was not hers before, and the book was not hers, but the book was checked out from her library at her school, so it could be her parents just didn't know that she checked that book out. So that is the last lead that we've had. It's been 22 years of just nobody knowing what happened to Asha Degree. And so the parents put a billboard up at the spot where she was last seen running into the woods. I have a couple theories on this. And the first one is because of whenever I hear of a child missing, sometimes I think of things in my own life that were happening or that I know of or when I was around that age, And it makes me remember, at my school, there was a creepy janitor who always talked to the kids oh, I missed you. Seeing you just makes my day. And there was one girl in particular, and he would sing a song that had her name in it. And so when kids go missing, sometimes I think of, the creepy janitor at my school and how, every school might have a creepy teacher, creepy janitor. So, this is what, like, I kind of thought of. Plus, when I was 12, in the back of a magazine, there was girls around 12, around that age, that wanted pen pals. And so I had 4 pen pals when I was 12, and they had these pen pal rules, and it said, for safety, ask the girl for a picture right away so that you know you're talking to another 12-year-old. And that was in case, a grown man would try to talk to a 12-year-old. So when I saw that she had a picture of another little girl in that shed she left a picture, a pen, some markers, and some candy wrappers, like she took a break there. This is like far-fetched, but we don't have anything to go on. So what if, like, a janitor at her school threw a letter in her book bag with a picture in it? Maybe it was his niece or somebody. And it was just like, I'm in a different class than you, but I want to meet you. I want to be your friend. Meet me at the gas station off Highway 18, So maybe she was going to meet, maybe she thought she was going to meet that little girl. And I don't know how, it might have been something totally different than a janitor putting a letter in her book bag, but maybe she was going to meet her and thought that was going to be her new friend. So for one, I think they should publish that picture and find out who that girl is, because she could have a relative that used her picture. So that's one theory I have. Of course, the other theories could be similar to that, only have nothing to do with the picture. Like, she was supposed to meet somebody, and maybe it was because her parents' anniversary was also that same day, on Valentine's Day. It could be like that Amy case where a stranger called the house and said, do you want to meet me, and then I'll take you to get an anniversary present for your parents. It could be something like that. It sounds like she had a mission. To me, it sounds like she was going to meet somebody. And then what could have happened was, since she ran into the woods, she succumbed to the elements, of staying all night in the woods. And they just haven't found her. Or she eventually did make it to the meeting place and someone kidnapped her. Or the spot where she had this candy is maybe where she met somebody who came upon her, and they had like a crime of opportunity. And then they called the police about the evidence. So it could be like, police wouldn't really look at them because they think they're just witnesses. There's one more theory that I don't think anyone's thought of. And it's the theory that maybe after she ran in the woods, she realized, this was all too much for her, and she went back home. And her parents were mad and possibly did something. That wasn't something I even thought of originally, but I was trying to think of every scenario. So yeah, it could even be the person that was gonna, the person that called 911, and then they were gonna go back and talk to her. It could even be the person that called 911 and then went to confront her. She ran into the woods. He might have seen like where she went and came back later and kidnapped her for all we know. Because there are, like, I've been looking into true crime for a long time. There are a lot of cases where the suspect or perpetrator will want to act like a witness, and he'll show up and at the police station even and act like he saw the guy, and he'll give a fake sketch or something. I've heard of this happening a lot because a lot of these guys are kind of crazy. They're not all there, and some of them are so excited about what they did that they want to talk about it, they want to be a part of it, and they would have maybe got away with it if they wouldn't have put themselves in the situation. Like, remember the guy that got arrested recently? His last name was Pinkney, I think. I think I'll do a story on that. But he, like, day one, he, like, gave the police a list of names of people he thought in town could have kidnapped the girl. So that was kind of weird. But anyway, I hope they find Asha Degree. I know that she's an adult now. There's still hope that she could be alive, because there's always those cases where the girl gets kidnapped and, she ends up being found like 20 years later. What I'm feeling is that she went to meet someone. She didn't intend to leave for, ever. I think it was just for the day. And either she ran off and, she's in the woods somewhere and they just never found her, or she did meet up with her friend and it ended up not being who she thought it would be. So she was a beautiful little girl. I don't think the age progression really looks like her, if you ask me. But maybe they take in consideration like what the parents look like. But I'll leave you with her billboard that is near the woods where she was last seen, and it has the phone numbers in case you know more and you